Yo, 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 it's your boy Ray Mabry coming to you with a special guest today, Mr. D. Stevens, Demetrius. I didn't know his name was Demetrius, but D. Stevens out of Atlanta area, Atlanta, Georgia area. He's going to be dropping some great nuggets to you. Without further ado, I just want to go ahead and just let him introduce himself. So D, tell the people a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got it started in real estate.
Yeah. I try to get the short version. So I'm from Tennessee, Chattanooga. What's up? I moved down here to go to Georgia Tech and major in chemical engineering. So I thought that's what I want to be because when I was like a kid, I was like I wanted to go to Georgia Tech or MIT to go and do chemical engineering. So I decided as I got older to go to Georgia Tech for chemical engineering. Went there and it was boring. it was boring, man. I mean, that's why I tell people, man, a lot of times don't go after something because of the money. Because I'm telling you, if you don't enjoy it, brother, I mean, it's nothing they can do, right? Because I worked at a nuclear power plant, making good money, even while I was still a student. And I couldn't stand going to that place. Not because the people were bad. They were awesome to me, right?
Yeah.
It was just that I really did not enjoy what I was doing. I thought just simply because I was really good at it, that's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And I realized that's not it. And I realized I really should be looking for my purpose, or at least creating a purpose that really wasn't in line with who I was. And when I was here doing my like spring and fall semester at Georgia Tech, I was working at a nuclear pharmacy. And I met this guy that was a driver at the nuclear pharmacy. He turned me on to this guy named Carlton Sheeks at the time. And we ended up going in half, which means I ended up paying for it. It was an IOU, you know what I mean? But it was all good. I'm glad he even exposed me to it because, I grew up thinking go to college, work hard. If you need a student loan, get a student loan, get a job, go get a mortgage, get in debt, go get some credit cards. You know what I mean? I was in that mindset frame. Sure. So he really turned me on to something in a whole new world that I really wasn't even. I mean, dude, it blew my mind. You know how you could go out and buy a house, no money down, right? So I had a little small business on the side outside of working at the pharmacy, and I did like apartment locating for people that was moving to Atlanta because Atlanta's so spread out. Sure. And a lot of people moved to Atlanta, but we was like, okay, so where do I live? Do I live in the hood or do I live in the neighborhood? You know what I mean? So exactly. I was trying to steer people towards the neighborhood side of Atlanta. And it kind of worked out, made some good money while I was still a student, and bought my first house when I was real young. And I never looked back after that. After that, I kind of, got into some other things in real estate as far as like home inspections, and got into high-end renovations and things like that with Home Depot. And then it was like, okay, with the construction, I always hit a ceiling. It was like no matter how much I made, I couldn't get over a certain amount. And I was doing a lot of renovation flips for investors towards the end of my focused on construction career. And it was one guy I was doing a renovation for down in Atlanta, and he told me how he was using other people's money to do the deal. So I thought back to Carlton Sheets, because I didn't really just use Carlton Sheets to buy like a couple of houses, and I thought I was doing good. I didn't realize this guy's that buy 2-3 houses a week.
Oh, really?
You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? So, I mean, when he told me that, I mean, this light bulb just went off in my brain, and I was like, how can I do that? You know what I mean? And then from there, it just kind of went through that journey.
Yeah.
As far as trying to figure out what I need to do and how I need to do it using OPM and all that kind of other stuff, man. And I'm here where I am now, man.
So question, time frame, give me a time frame. Like how long ago was that? And, kind of tell people what your business model is now today.
Oh man. Yeah. I ain't no spring chicken, brother. I ain't no 20-year-old, man. I moved here like 2000.
Okay.
So that's about 20 years ago. And so bought my first house like in 2003, 2004, something like that.
Okay.
And then from there, I was interested in the construction because it was just fast money, man. You do a job, you get paid like a few $1,000s. I'm like, ooh, let me do this.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Till the taxes hit you, and it's like, oh, let me find some way to do something else. Right. And so yeah. So then fast forward, then I really started getting really focused into like being the investor. Not just D the construction guy, D the GC.
Microphone. Hey, microphone. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you went out just for a few seconds. D the inspector.
Okay, yeah. So I end up in about 2017. I just honestly posted an ad on my Facebook page and was like, "Hey, I'm looking to get into real estate. Anybody want to get in?" And I reached out to a couple of people I did some work for,
Okay.
and they was like, "Yeah, you'll be great at it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I would be great at it. Yeah, let's do it." It was
Okay.
kind of like and then in 2018, we got into renovating flipping, right?
Okay.
So one of the things we did, I learned was don't over leverage, which is one of the things we did, right? We bought too many houses at one time. It was like, oh, we're gonna flip all these houses, right? It's better when you transitioning into being an investor, do one,
Yep.
finish that, do another one, finish that, then jump into multiple because it's not as easy as it looks.
Right.
Even with me coming from the experience of actually doing multiple renovations at the same time, it's just a whole different beast when you're the investor, how to look at the situation differently, the numbers differently, analyze it, looking at yields and things like that. And so from there, learned a lot. Then COVID hit, learned a lot. And then now we're here. So I have a pretty big team and we do pretty good on a monthly basis. So yeah.
Okay, so I think, and I know I've seen a post before about is it BRRR? How many R's is it? Like 3 or 4?
I think it's 4 hours. Yeah,
4
yeah.
hours. So can you kind of talk about that a little bit, how that model works? Is that what you normally do now? And if so, can you kind of explain to the people?
Well, I do a modified version of the burst strategy, right? So it's buy, rehab, rent out, refinance, repeat. That's what all the 4 R's fall into place, right? So the only thing is when you buy it traditionally, you got to put down 20%, which is what we're doing at first. Like we was buying properties off the MLS back in 2018. Then I learned about creative finance along the way. Tony Robinson out of North Carolina, shout out the GOAT, right? He showed me how to do sub twos and things like that, and also read some other books you can find on Amazon. Just look up lease options on Amazon. Look up sub twos, seller finance, and things like that. Read a lot of books, took notes. Like I studied it. Like some people read a book, I studied the book. Right? So take your time, really, really do it, and then just dive in. You're gonna make mistakes, but dive in. And if you can afford a coach, get a coach that's actually implementing these strategies, not somebody who did it 30 years ago. He's like, oh yeah, back in 1974.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Man, how many deals you doing now, man? Come on, show me some deals. Show me your, you know what I mean? So deal with people like that, even if they're not a coach, but you link up with them and they active in the industry, you go from there. So what we do is we do our creative version of the burst strategy is we generally do seller financing or purchase the property subject to the existing financing, and for some people that don't know that, what it means is that there's a mortgage in place. And what we do generally when you sell a house to another person or another entity, you generally pay off that mortgage and then the other person either pays cash or they get a new mortgage. So essentially you cash the mortgage out. Well, when we transfer the title or the deed to one of our entities or to a trust, right? We keep that same mortgage in place and we just pay it for the original owner, right? And then we generally do a cash out, as far as we'll finance them out in like, 2 to 5 or 10 years or something like that, depending on the situation and how it works out. And then, we also do like sub two wraps where there's existing financing in place. So let's say for $100,000, and then the homeowner want to sell it to us for 120, right? So there's the sub to it, they have the mortgage in place, plus there's a note created in second position from the homeowner, and we generally try to do those at 0% interest, right? So everything we do, every penny goes to principal pay down. So we're gonna accelerate the process on that. So that's generally how we acquire the properties. So we can get into the properties. Really, honestly, most of the time, less than $10,000.
Sure.
Some of them no money down because there's a lot of people out there, as you know, right? That they like, man, look, I don't even want the house, man. Just take the house. As long as I don't have to pay the mortgage, I have to deal with the tax. You deal with that, Demi. You know what I'm saying? So we find those people because there are certain situations that align with people who are most likely to accept that type of deal. So it's a win-win for them. Like they don't have to worry about headaches. They don't worry about replacing the roofs, the kitchen, renters, anything like that. And we just pay them on time. Like, hey, boom, boom, boom. And I do recommend setting your payment schedule on the 10th of the month to the owner. but you get paid on like the 28th or 29th or 30th of the month for your renter if you decide to rent that out. Just a little tip there.
That's
Okay.
good, man. That's
So,
good. That's good. That's good.
yeah,
That's a
yeah, yeah.
great
Just a
nugget,
little
guys. I
tip
hope you
there.
get picked up on that.
Yeah, it's a little, it give you a little spread there, a little leeway, right?
Mhm.
And so that's how we generally do it. And now with the, as far as implementing to the burst strategy, so we bought it on seller financing essentially, and then we go in there. We may fix it up, we may not. It's some problems we get in there where we'll turn around and give it to an investor, right? Where if it's a new investor or investor, maybe they got 5 projects, but they need another one, but they're capped out on how much they can get, borrow money on. But they're like, look, D, let me just either do a lease option from you, or you do a seller financing, or you do a contract for deed on this property, and I'll be in and out in like a few months, right? Which generally turns into like 6 months to a year. But
Right.
nevertheless, I'm like, yeah. Just a few months, buddy. I got you, right? So doing that allows us to do that, but we don't do the actual part where we actually refinance it, right? Because when you refinance the on a burst strategy, you generally get another mortgage.
Yeah.
And when you pay mortgage, you got to pay points, fees, stuff you didn't even know you had to pay for, closing costs, right? So what we do a lot of times is we get it on seller financing or subject to, or however you want to look at it, and then we'll turn around, maybe put a little capital improvements in it, get an option fee up front, because we like our disposition strategy is a lease option, right?
Sure.
So we get like $10,000-$20,000 as an option fee, right? And then we generally get a monthly cash flow that's going to range anywhere between $300 to $700 a month on the property. All right, that's our second profit center. Our third profit center is, instead of cashing out, we generally do something called, I'm gonna say that for the end. I'm gonna say that for the end. That's something special we do on the end.
Okay.
We're gonna say that for the students of Ray.
I got you, man. Yeah, exactly.
But what I will say this is that we generally cash out on that back end with something, and we go out and buy another property, right? And that's how we do it. And it's really just rinse and repeat over and over again. So that's our main strategy. And how we really approach it from up front is doing a wholesale strategy.
Gotcha. Now, what I'm gonna say too, just as a nugget for those that's listening, because I mean, a lot of this stuff, may kind of be over a lot of your heads and stuff, as far as, because this is something it's more than just wholesaling. Like he said, he may acquire wholesaling, but this is a little more in depth. But when you settle it to the investor, and you say you may get $10,000, $20,000 down, that money is non-refundable, right?
Oh yeah, no, it's a fee.
Can you just explain to people that's looking like what that means when somebody actually gives you, say, a cashier's check or wires you money for $10,000? What does that mean from the commitment from the end buyer, and then like if he or she decides that they don't want to follow through with purchasing the property, what happens?
Yeah, so with the lease option, right, on our disposition strategy for these seller finance deals, right? So there's an option fee up front. So we're only interested in people who got some money to put down on it, right? So when they pay the option fee, we let them know, obviously this disclosure, Zoom calls, things like that, to let them know, hey, it is non-refundable, like big as daylight. Like it's non-refundable. Once you give it to D, it's D's. It ain't yours no more, right?
Yeah.
So that's so now you have the option. Keep in mind, it's an option. It's like trading stocks. You got options and puts, right? So you got the option to buy, or you got the option not to buy. It's up to you, right? So we generally give a timeline, like 12, 18 months, depending on what state we're in. Texas, North Carolina, we just limit leases to 12 months, and then we can renew it after that. Everywhere else we'll be interested in doing a little bit longer. And depending on the situation of the house, our goal for that house, how much equity we have in the house, depending on if we want to go ahead and renew it over and over again, which is important because you want to look at the equity on that as well. Then let you know if you want to hurry up and cash out of it, or just let it ride that wave.
Yeah, exactly. And then also it sounds like, now, I don't know if you picked up on this or not, to those of you that's listening, D is physically in the Atlanta area now, but he just mentioned an example of Texas and North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina, which goes to show that he's doing deals virtually outside his area. So you kind of want to speak on that. Like, can you kind of tell them like maybe a nugget or two as to why you would even go outside Atlanta? Atlanta's hot. I mean, hot Atlanta, so it's a very, very hot market. But why would you go outside the Atlanta area? Just for those that's curious, like, if Atlanta's so hot, why are you doing deals in Texas and North Carolina and other states?
Yeah. So for us, hold on one second. Drop my earpiece, man. Look at that.
It's all
Got them
good.
butter hands. Look, I'm gonna let one take.
You got quick hands, actually. You called it, you know.
All right, so reason why we do virtual, because virtual is easy. Once you understand how to do it, right? Like you sign up with Ray, he'll show you. It's easy, right? Even though we do deals here in Atlanta, right? Like we got flips going on here in Atlanta. Sometimes it's just easy to do a deal you don't see because you're less emotionally invested in the property because you can't just run over there. Ooh, what the electrician doing, right? It forces you to set up systems and processes to get things done in your absence. And the problem with a lot of us by only playing in our backyard is that we waste a lot of time doing a lot of things ourselves, which is a problem. You
Yes.
really need to begin to build out your SOPs, standard operating procedures on how your business is run, right? Another thing you need to do is build out obviously a business metrics, right? Which lets you know, okay, what are the things we're measuring, right? And out of that matrix that you have, you need to look at key performing indicators, your KPIs. In these KPIs, they're going to be the most important levers in your business to get the maximum result.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure most people heard of the 80-20 rule, right? So in the business, like you know how you work a 9 to 5, only 20% of the people or less are really doing the most impactful work that makes about 80% of results in the business.
Sure.
Same thing in your business, whether you're an entrepreneur, you trading crypto, you on the stock market, you own a business, you solopreneur, whatever. 20% of what you do is going to produce 80% of the results.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find out what those 20% things are, right? And those 20% in that little small gap are your key performance indicators, right? And once you understand what those are, you know how to leverage. Like for me, I can take a contractor where he may not have had good experiences with other investors, and I can make him look like a superstar because I know how to manage contractors. I know that most contractors are poor money managers, right?
Sure.
So they're always robbing Peter to pay Paul, but they're skilled, right? They're just poor money managers. So the way I structure their payment schedule is based on their production schedule. That way I can turn a flop into a hero. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's really about understanding those key performance indicators from every aspect of your business. From if you got a large operation where you got a lead manager, acquisition manager, disposition manager, transaction coordinator, or you just doing everything yourself, or maybe you got you and a VA, right? You need to understand whose roles is who and how can I create a system to measure that. I mean, literally, quantitatively measure that. When you can do that, you start really making some money.
That's awesome, man. That's and once again, guys, make sure you rewind what D just said because he just gave you the keys to the kingdom. If you want to go and you want to create a successful real estate business, whether wholesaling, fixing, flipping, now whatever part of it, you got to have key things in place. And so make sure you guys catch and listen to what D just explained to you. So let's talk about the newbie, because I don't, we actually want to keep this this conversation kind of short, but I'm just telling you guys, make sure you listen and rewind this and listen to what D said. So somebody just getting started. Somebody comes to you and say, hey, D, man, you've been in the game for a long time. You're a very, very successful businessman. How can I do what you do? What would be your advice? What, like 3 or 4 things that you would probably recommend the newbie do to get started in the same path that, and actually shorten the learning curve that it took you to get where you are now? What kind of advice would you give to that new investor looking to get started?
Yeah. Well, first, before I give them advice, I generally ask them a few questions because I need to know where their mindset is.
Sure.
Like one of the questions I asked them is, why are you doing this? If they tell me it's the money, then, which don't get me wrong, we got to pay our bills. Okay, after you make the money, say if you can make $1 million or $2 million or $10,000 a month, whatever it is, what's next? What is your why? What happens after that? Why are you doing this? Really figure that out, right? And sometimes you don't know that up front, and that's okay. It's not wrong if you don't know that, but it's something you need to start thinking about. Another thing I'd like to ask people is, are you willing to downgrade your lifestyle? I mean, literally sacrifice your time, that you spend with people. Cut some people out of your life. Are you willing to stop watching Netflix so much? Hulu, right? Are you willing to commit yourself to reading at least 30 minutes a day, watching videos, audiobooks, anything like that? Are you willing to be committed at least 5 days out of a 7-day week to change your life? And depending on how they answer that question, depending on how I respond after that, right? Because if I can, and it's not really what they say, it's how they respond, right?
Sure.
You know that, right? So and if they respond in a way where they just have to try to get a quick buck, I tell them it's nothing I can do to help them.
Okay. But what if they turn
Because
around and say, yeah, I'm sold out, I'm committed, I'm ready.
yeah. So if they sold out, committed, I believe I see that they could possibly put in the work. We need to talk about. I don't go with most people. Most people like go out there like, what's your budget? I go out there, what's your credit look like?
Okay.
Okay. What does your credit look like? Okay. Because if you're having problems paying your bills, you're gonna have problems managing money in your business.
Mm.
You just are, right? Because what happens is, this happens to a lot of people. You get that 10,000, 20,000 assignment fee, you're gonna blow it. Even though you told me up front, well, I'm doing this for my family. I love my kids, my baby mama, my wife, my mom, right? Soon as you get that money in your hand, chances are you're gonna blow it. Okay. So one of the things we need to talk about is your credit and how do you manage money, right? Next thing I like to talk about is how do you manage your time, right? And then after we have that conversation, then I start to dive into, okay, with your budget and based on what you have, these are some of the things you need to take care of. And I do recommend people really taking more serious care of their credit and look at getting those credit scores up, right? Because you want to get to the point where you got your scores over 750. If you're going to really take this business serious, right? Get those scores over 750 so you can start applying for a business credit card. So you can eventually start getting business credit only in the business name where you're no personal guarantor on it. Sure. Okay. Another thing is if you have a low budget right now, what I do recommend is do some low budget items like driving for dollars, spending time at the courthouse, pulling lists, watching free videos, right? But as soon as you can level up, you need to hire somebody like Ray to be like, hey, Ray, can you put me on, right? Sign up for Ray's courses, coaching, things like that. And really, really, really take heed to what he says as far as your implementation, right? Because a lot of times we know in general what we need to do, but we don't know how to implement what's inside our head.
Right.
So look at some of Ray's SOPs to figure out how is he implementing these things to get consistent deal flow every month. That's another thing you want to do as you level up, right? And then when you start out with a low budget, I mean, you got to spend more time than somebody who has a high budget. Another thing is sometimes starting out with a lot of money can hurt you because what happens is you think you can throw money at the wall and get results. It don't work like that. This is not Dogecoin. You know what I'm saying? It's not crypto. Yeah. This is real estate. This is generational wealth. Okay. So what you need to do is figure out how can I manage my money? What are some things I need to do? Which means you need to start out with a basic fundamental understanding. Buy a couple of inexpensive courses. Right? Go join some Facebook groups online that talk about wholesaling. Go into the search feature as people say different words like ARV. What does that mean? Google it.
Yep.
Study it. Right? What's ROI? Google it. Study it. Okay. Don't just get in a group and be one of these lazy Facebook TikTokers or whatever. Yeah. What's ARV? You didn't even look at Google. You didn't look in the search in the group. You didn't do anything. It's probably not meant for you. I'm just saying it's probably not meant for you. But if you're one of those people like, okay, this is a new word, this is a new opportunity, and you got to look at it as opportunities where you can begin to really look at everything as an opportunity, and I want to dive into it at least to get some better understanding because I notice these words, this lingo keeps being thrown around over and over and over again, and you begin to study it and learn it. Write it on flashcards, whatever you need to do to understand it. Another thing you want to do if you're newbie is get you a purchase and sale agreement that somebody's actually using, not something you downloaded off, Lord Jesus, wherever, right? But somebody's actually using to close deals, and assignment agreement, right? So go out there and do those things. And between having that preparedness and you actually going out there to take action, whether it's calling people, SMS, doing Ringlish voicemail or RVM, or if you're doing a little couple of Facebook ads, or you going on to a couple of yard sale groups and hey, me and my partner's got a couple of dollars, and we're looking to buy some houses. We okay with doing a little work if it needs work, right? Doing some organic marketing, things like that, so you can at least get some people when you start talking to those people, right? Because you want to start getting on the phone with those people and having better quality conversations. The more quality conversations you have, the closer you're going to get getting a deal. Now, sometimes the deal going to land in your lap, right? Which I think that can be harmful if it happens like right away, because you're going to expect it all the time. And I'm telling you, it don't happen like that all the time. You got to grind. This is work, okay? This is work. Even if you got a big team, a little team, are you solo, dolo? It's work, all right? So you got to be willing to put in the work. So if you're willing to do that and consistently hang around winners, find out who's winning, right? Not just capping, posting in front of a Lambo with a $100,000 fake watch off Wish.com. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like really people that's out there doing it. And those people who really are doing it and love what they do, they're going to be providing a lot of free information on their website or in their Facebook group or in their mentoring program because they just love it. Now, if you want access to them one-on-one or in a program, then you got to pay a little money. It ain't free, right? But hang around people because that what you're gonna need is not just knowing I need to buy low, sell high, but you need that energy, that momentum to push through those difficult times or those opportunities for growth. You do that, you're gonna be all right.
And something D just said too, which this is something that I hammer home to my students and my clients, and I just live by it. Quality conversations, because we do most of our deals through cold calling and stuff. That's just like our main source, not the only source. But when you get that settled on the phone, like you dial, smiling down. And then what hurts a lot of people is, they finally get somebody on the phone and somebody's like somewhat interested, and then you kind of like having these surface level conversations. And what's the square footage? How many bedrooms, bathroom? Which you need to get that information. But I try to emphasize, look, find out what that person's situation is. Why are they even talking to you? Like what's their pressure points, their pain points, and have those quality conversations because, like the difference between having a quality conversation and then somebody say with a huge budget, $25,000, $30,000 marketing budget, it's like most people don't have that kind of budget. So you got to maximize opportunity once you get that perspective settled on the phone and just dive a little deeper. Just have deeper conversations, guys. And that right there will allow you to, close more deals and make more per deal. When they can see that, that you care about their situation and that you're there genuinely trying to help them versus, just trying to make a quick buck, it goes a long way. So quality conversations. And even like when those of you that's interested in getting in this industry and you're looking to, say hire a coach, mentor, or whatever, don't be asking little surface level questions. Even like how much you're coaching, whatever. That's not the most important thing here. Like Dee said before, like we need to know your why. We need to know, like, is this even for you? Because the failure rate is so high in real estate, guys. Just like anything else, it's just so high because people come in it with unrealistic expectations, and that's something that we just trying to share with you guys. Just so you can like maximize these opportunities. Look, D, man, you post D. Look, those of you don't know, make sure you follow this guy on Facebook. He gonna post about 100 memes a day, man, which are hilarious. Which is, I want to talk to you about that too, man, because I tag you the meme guy, but I'm telling you, man, like that's something that you get engagement, you get responses and stuff, and it lets you know that you're a real person and personal and stuff. If somebody wants to reach out to you, somebody wants to connect to you, D, what's the easiest and best way to connect to you? To connect with you?
I really just message me on Facebook. We're like, hey man, I saw you with Ray on the podcast, on the YouTube, yada yada yada. I'm interested in real estate. I want to link because honestly, I'm really only interested in linking with people that's interested in real estate or investing, right? If you're in the crypto space too, that's cool, right? So just reach out to me like that, and we can link, right? And that's just my nice boundary of like you got to be about it. You got what I'm saying? Don't be coming over here with no jokey joke. You know what I'm saying? Even though we do have fun, we have fun. You know what I'm saying? We make a lot of money, but we have fun. But I need to know you down with the real estate. You down with investing. If you down with that, please, by all means, hit me up.
Cool, man. All right. Well, look, this has been a pleasure. Make sure, as I stated before, those of you that's taking the time to watch this video, watch it a couple times because D dropped some heavy nuggets, you know, and what I would like to do too, because I want to keep this short. I want to eventually bring them on, you know, a few months from now, just kind of a follow-up interview if you got time for it, D. But you know, in the meantime, listen, people, don't just sit here and consume, don't just binge watch all these YouTube videos. You know, find something that really sparks your interest and you start focusing on that, start reaching, start making contacts, and go out and make things happen. All right. So, you know, once again, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this interview. As stated before, definitely reach out to D. You know, he's a very knowledgeable guy. He's been in the industry for a while. He's making a lot of money. So, you know, don't try to waste his time. You know, make sure you're serious if you reach out to him. But, you know, go out here, guys, and make this stuff happen because real estate is a game changer. You know, and I mean, you know, you sitting here, you're watching. You know, two guys has been in it for a while, and I'm telling you guys, like, but just be serious about it. Be serious. Make sure this is what you really want to do, and go out and change some lives, and change your family tree, and you know, just go have an impact on people. All right. So until next time, this is your boy Ray Mabry along with D Stevens about to sign off. Peace.